double the number of children who now live in poverty. We see more children working, more children on the streets, more children having to take risks and putting themselves in situations they should never have to experience.
أول ما توفى بيي أجيت تعلمت يعني من رفقاتي. بشتغل بس تعتم في البيت. يعني مثلا بعمل لهم الإزاز بيعطوني 10 20 30 40.
وتركت المدرسة لحتى أشتغل وناكل فيها ونشرب فيها.
أنا بشتغل كرمال إخواتي. بجيب لهم الأكل.
We know 1 out of 8 families send children to work on streets. It's not acceptable that children work at the expense of their well-being and development. It's not acceptable that children have to work to support the family economy instead of learning. Child labor only increases poverty. By working and not attending school, children are not gaining skills to get a well-paid job in the future, and child labor puts them at risk of violence. This also leads to putting the entire generation at risk, and Lebanon will lose its own future. UNICEF and the partners are working together to support children to make sure that they can go back to school and develop their full potential. We also need to reduce the impact of the risks they are facing. As the challenges become bigger, we all need to do more. Indeed, this children's voice really shows what the children are facing nowadays in Lebanon. Again, I'm very happy to introduce you to Dr. Najat Mala. She's the Special Representative of the Secretary General on Violence Against Children. She's an independent global advocate in favor of the prevention and elimination of all forms of violence against children. She mobilizes action and political support to achieve progress the world over. The mandate of Dr. Najat is anchored in the Convention on the Rights of the Child and other international human rights instruments, and framed by United Nations. Our UN Special Representative or the Secretary General focused on violence against children. So now, Dr. Najat, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I think it's very difficult to speak after hearing children. You know, all these witnesses, and I think they highlight all the suffer, the despair of what is going on. And I think what Lebanon is facing actually is a big crisis, not due only to COVID, but also financial, political crisis, humanitarian crisis. And I think the impact of this crisis is really, really heavy, and mainly for children, you know, Lebanese children, refugees children, and families also that are Lebanese and refugees. And what we heard is unacceptable, you know, to see that really due to poverty, due to discrimination, due to social disparities, that children have to adopt coping mechanisms through child labor, and even in the worst forms of child labor, early child marriage, children living and working on streets, children victims of various forms of violence, physical, psychological, sexual trafficking, smuggling, and also living in streets. I think it's not acceptable, and it is preventable. And I think we cannot really use the excuse of a political or financial crisis to justify this violation of rights. And I start my visit this morning meeting some key policymakers, the President, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, and I will see also after that the Ministry of Social Affairs and many others, and I will visit programs. And I think many things are really put on the table. You have this national, social protection strategy. You have a plan regarding ending all forms of violence against children and women. One plan regarding ending child marriage. You have also other reforms regarding legislation. So the problem is why it's not implemented. And I think here it's really, really important to make sure that ending all forms of violence against children cannot wait, because we are going to pay a huge, huge tribute, not only children, the cost not only for children, but the cost for society and the cost for Lebanon at all. This is one. And I think we know, and with the support of UN, and we know we have many evidence-based responses that are already in places that really are multi-sectoral. This chain of services around families and around children, providing safe, inclusive school, providing psychosocial support, providing social protection, cash transfer, universal health coverage, access to health and to mental health for children. This is very important. Access also to justice is very important. And we know what to do. And also we know how also really to change, the behavior, the attitude regarding, some forms of violence such as child marriage, such as also corporal and humiliating punishment. We all know what to do. So what the question is, why we are not doing it? And I think this is a big question. We need to be more ambitious. We need to put pressure, also on the government, working very closely with them to make this really institutionalized, because it's possible to make it. And I hope that at the end of my visit, not because I am the best one in the world, but because what is important is we have all the UN system partners, and also the coming visit of the Secretary General of UN tomorrow or after tomorrow also will push, because we can make it. We can really implement it very quickly with the support of UN and all the partners. We can make it. And this is my really, 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 really last message. And I want to just remind that many years ago, we made the promise that we will end all forms of violence against children by 2030. And just to remind you that less than 8 years remain. And if we continue like that, we are not going to achieve our promise. And we need to do it not only for children, but with children, because they are experts. They are aware about, their lives. They have a good expertise, and they have a good solution. So we need to see them also as key partners, as agents of change, and as part of solution. And when I am speaking about children in Lebanon, I am speaking about all children in Lebanon, independently of their status. So many thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Najat. Indeed, you are the best advocate for children in the world. And I think it really matters that you are here with us in Lebanon today to talk about how to prevent violence against children. Let me repeat some important numbers for our understanding. Now, 82% of Lebanese household is under multidimensional poverty. We know that among a Syrian refugee household, more than 90% of the households are under extreme poverty, which is putting 1.8 million children under poverty. We estimate 700,000 children are not in learning out of school, but also we know that the 12% of household, meaning 1 out of 8 families, send children to work on streets. This is, all numbers is only the unfortunate confirmation that the children are at high risk of violence. Today, we are releasing the report, which we would invite you to have a close look. In this report, we have a very clear evidence that how children are nowadays suffering in Lebanon. Today's Lebanon, I think I repeatedly talked about this in this room. It's not just the economic crisis. It's not only the financial crisis. This is an unprecedented crisis for children. As Dr. Nijat had said, we cannot wait. We need to act now. Otherwise, we will lose the generation. We will lose the future of Lebanon. We have actually a wonderful partnership with all different kinds of institutions, public institutions, civil society organizations, of course with the government. There are over 240 locations across Lebanon. We are working together on the campaign called Kudva. So these centers are places where children can access legal, psychological, and emotional support, and they can also participate in different activities to strengthen skills in this crisis context, but also by doing so, we try to reduce their risk of being abused or exploited. So most pressing action at this stage now is immediate action for most vulnerable children. So children's well-being and safeguarding must be top priority to ensure their rights are met under any circumstances. So on my, at last, please, again, I would like to thank Dr. Najat Mala. I can't thank you more, that you will visit many different centers, you meet many different partners. She started with high top-level policymakers this morning, but she will also visit communities and really see what is happening with the children. Then I know you're going to leave us with also that very strong recommendations how best we can continue working together. So I thank you for your attention, and let's keep on going. We cannot lose our generation for Lebanon. Thank you. Do we open for the questions?
We don't have questions from the online. We'll start with the one-on-ones right now.
Okay. Anybody on?
It's already open.
Here?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.